Impress your colleagues by adding this left-hand navigation menu into your Canvas Power Apps. It can shrink and expand with an animated button, it navigates pages, it has custom icons, and it has a gradient background to make it really stand out. I'll show you how to build this from scratch, and you can use this as inspiration to build your own modern left navigation menus. So here we go. So let's create a new blank Canvas app. I'll just call it left nav. And first we're going to set up the data that our navigation menu will use. So we're going to do this by clicking on app and going to the formulas property. We're going to expand this and we're going to set up our menu items. So I'm going to just call it menu items. I'll set it equals to, and we're going to set it equal to a table. And with squiggly brackets, we're going to set a few properties. We're going to have ID. I'm going to set it the first one equal to 1. We're going to have a name. I'll call the first one home. We're going to have an icon. For now, I'm just going to leave it in empty quotation marks. And we're going to have screen. And I'm going to set it to the app.active screen for now. And I'm going to close off the squiggly bracket. So we're just going to paste them in, and you're going to see I have 6 total with various names, but all with blank icons. And for now, they're all just going to the app's active screen. And if you want to use the default icons included in Power Apps, you can, but I want to have full control over which icons I use. So I'm going to bring in free custom SVG icons. So to set this up, I'm going to set a menu icons equal to squiggly brackets. And I'm just going to call the icons home. For now, I'm going to have empty quotation marks. I'm going to say tasks, search, history, contact us, and about us. So this is where I'm going to put my SVG code that I'm then going to plug into each of my icons. So where do you get these SVG codes? I'm going to go to icon-sets.iconify.design. Here, there's a lot of free icons that you can search for. So let's search for the first one. I'm just going to search home, and you can pick whatever one you like. I like this one for now, so I'm just going to click it and copy to clipboard. Now, one thing to mention, you might have seen in my other videos, you have to take this code and remove the double quotations. So you can do this with any notepad. You just paste it in. You can click Control H, replace double quotes with single quotes. And then once you have that, you can go back to your Power App and paste it within the quotation marks. You'll notice there are no double quotations anywhere. They're all replaced with singles. And here I've gone ahead and added all the other icons using that same method. And now that we've defined our menu icons that we want to use, we can go back up into our menu items and replace these double quotes with menu icons dot home, menu icons dot tasks, search, history, contact us, and about us. I'm also going to establish our theme colors, as this will make things easier if we want to update our theme in the future without rewriting all our code. So I'm going to set up my theme equals, and within squiggly brackets, I'm going to have a dark color and a light color. And this is going to make it a lot easier for us to interchange colors if we want to in the future. Now, something I do in all my apps is store my current users' information, like their name, job title, email, inside of a named formula so that I can easily reference it where needed. You can just use the user function, but in my case, I want to get the job title, and that isn't available in the basic user function. So what we have to do is add a data source, and it's called Office 365 Users. And now we can say current user equals Office 365 user profile v2. In bracket, we're going to call on the user dot email, close the bracket, and end with a semicolon. So this is going to allow us to dynamically pull the first name and the job title, which is our intent within this navigation menu. We also want to define the company name and company logo. So company name equals, I'll just say company name. And I also want the company logo to equal, and I'm just gonna add a media image. I'll just upload a car logo.png and I'll call on that image and end with a semicolon. Now, before we start building out our component, we wanna do one more thing. We wanna go back into our app and update the onStart property with a couple of variables. We're gonna set var menu selected equal to 1. We'll use this to set the default navigation item selected, which we will always want to be the first page. We also want to set a variable that will control the state of our navigation menu, so either open or closed, and by default I want it to be closed, so I'm setting it equal to false. Now that we've laid down the foundation, let's start building our left navigation menu. We'll go to the Components tab and click New Component, and I'm going to rename this Left Nav. And this is very important. Make sure to turn on Access App Scope. This will allow the variables within your app to pass through your component. And we're also going to set its width to, if the var menu open is equal to true, then it's going to be 200, otherwise 80. And we're going to set the height to app.designHeight. Now let's build a toggle icon that will change the width of our component. Insert a container and name it con toggle. And update the following properties. We're going to set its x equal to parent.width minus self.width minus 2. That minus 2 is to account for the border width. We're going to set its y property to 15. Fill is going to be the color value of our theme.dark color. Border is going to be equal to 2. Border radius is 10. Drop shadow none. The border color, you can set it to white. Width is going to be 20 and height is going to be 20. And within this container, let's insert a button and call it btn toggle select. This is going to be an invisible button that sits over top of our icon. Update the following properties. Text is going to be blank. X and Y is 0. Width and height is going to be parent.width and parent.height. Border is going to be 0, border radius is 0, and here the fill is going to be color.transparent. Hover fill is going to be 100, 100, 100, 0.1 transparency. Pressed fill is going to be a color fade, so a darker shade of self.hoverfill. Disabled fill is going to be self.fill, and we're going to set two variables in the onSelect property. The var menu timestamp is going to output the text of the current date and time. This is going to be important for our animation in our SVG icon. And we're also going to set a variable called var menu open to the opposite of its current state. So by default, it starts at false. So when this button is clicked, it's going to be true. When it's clicked again, it's going to be false, and so on. Now within our toggle container, let's insert an image called img toggle icon. And let's move it to the back. It's going to have the following properties. X and Y set to 0, width and height to that of its parent. And the image property is going to have the following code, which is going to be an animated arrow going left and right. And it's going to incorporate some of our variables for our menu timestamp in order to reactivate that animation every time it's clicked. And it's going to change the direction based on if our menu is open or closed. And you can see the animation is working with the width of our menu changing as expected. And now let's build out the rest of our menu. We'll insert another container and we'll call it con root. It's going to be our root container, and we're going to reorder send to back. And it's going to have its X and Y properties set to 0, width and height to that of its parent, border 0, border radius 0, and drop shadow none. And within our root container, we're going to insert HTML text in order to do our gradient background. And let's rename it HTML background. And it'll have the following properties: X and Y set to 0, width and height to that of its parent. The padding is going to be all 0. And then the HTML text property is going to be the following code. It's going to have elements of its own width, and our theme colors using our light color as the bottom and dark color as our top. Within our root container, we're going to insert a new vertical container and call it con menu. Its justify or vertical property is going to be start. The align is going to be stretch. Gap will be 20. And its X and Y properties will be 0. Width and height are going to be that of its parent. The border radius is going to be 0. And the drop shadow will be none. Now within our con menu, we're going to create a company section. So we're going to insert a horizontal container called con company. We're going to have the justify at center and align at center. The minimum width will be 0. Align in container is going to be stretch. Flexible height is going to be turned off with a height property of 50 and a border radius of 0 and drop shadow none. Now within the con company container, we're going to insert a horizontal container called con company logo. And for this, we're going to justify center, align center. The minimum height will be 0. Align in container will be stretch. Flexible width is going to be off. The width is going to be 50. Border radius is at 0 and drop shadow none. Now within this container, we're going to insert our image. And let's call it IMG company logo. And it'll have the following properties. Image is going to be company logo, which we defined in our app under the formulas section. Image position will be fill. The height will set to 30. Align in container will be center. Flexible width will be off. The width is going to be 30 and border radius of 15. Now we're also going to add a section for the company name. So we're going to select our con company container. And we're going to insert a text label. And we're going to call this LBL company name. And it's going to have the following properties. The text is going to be our variable company name, which we established in the formulas bar. The font will be Lato, font size 10, font weight semi-bold, padding left will be 0. Minimum height 0, align in container will be stretch, flexible width is on, fill portions 1 of 1, minimum width is going to be 0, color is going to be our color value of our theme, which is going to have our light color, and visible will be var menu open. So it's only going to be visible when the menu is actually open, and it'll hide it when it's closed. And you can test this out by holding the Alt key, and you can click your button here and you can see it'll show the company name, the logo. When we close it, the logo will just be centered within our container. So that's it for our company section. Now we want to create our user section where it's going to display the user's name and job title. And to save some time, let's copy the whole company section by selecting con company and copying it. And then we can select our con menu and paste under there. I'm going to update all the names. The first one will be con user. The second will be con user image, IMG user image, and LBL user name. For our user image, I'm just going to write user open bracket, close bracket, dot image. And for our LBL user name, I'm going to call on our current user that we established earlier in the video. We're going to use its display name, which is going to be the first and last name. We're going to add a char 10, which is just going to set this next line on a new row. And we're going to, again, use the current user's job title. So now when I hold Alt and expand, you'll be able to see now we have the name and the job title. And it all functions the way it should. And for the label username, I am going to update its color value to the dark theme. It doesn't look good now, but it will look good when it moves to the bottom later on. I'm also going to set the font size to make it a little bit smaller, and that's it. So now we're going to actually add our menu items into our container. So we're going to go back up to the con menu, and we're going to insert a blank vertical gallery. And I'm going to rename it gal menu. I'm also going to reorder it and move it up so it sits between the company details and the user details. Its items property is going to be the menu items, which we've established earlier in the video. We're going to have the minimum width set to 0. Align and container will be stretch. Flexible height is going to be on. The minimum height will be 0. Template size is going to be 40. Template padding is 0. Transition will be pop. Delay item loading will be equal to false. This will speed things up when the navbar loads. And show scroll bar will be turned off. Now with our gallery selected, we're going to click this edit gallery and we're going to insert a container. And we'll call this con menu items. In order to center these icons, we're going to set it to parent.width minus self.width all divided by 2. The y property will be parent.template height minus self.height divided by 2. And the width is going to be parent.width minus 10. And height will be parent.template height minus 10. The fill property is going to be a condition. So if this item ID is equal to our variable for the menu selected, then it's going to be our light color. Otherwise, it's going to be transparent. And our border radius will be 10 and drop shadow will be none. Now we need to add another invisible button. So we can pull this from the button toggle select. So let's copy this. And under con menu items, we're going to paste. And let's rename this to BTN select item. Set its X and Y properties to 0, and let's update its onSelect property to navigate to this item.screen and set var menu selected to this item.id. And under con menu items, insert a horizontal container called con menu details. And let's reorder this to the back. We're going to justify and align in the center. X and Y will be set to 0 and width and height will be parent.width and parent.height. And within this container, let's insert an image. And let's title this IMG menu icon. We're going to set its height to 20. Align in container is going to be center. Flexible width will be off. The width will be set to 20. And the image property will paste in this code. So here we're calling on the icons that we already set, and we're updating its color based on if that icon is selected. So if the menu item is selected, then give us the dark color. Otherwise, set the color to a light color. And if you hold the Alt key again and click through, you'll be able to see it inverts the colors and it makes it very clear which item you've selected. Now under the con menu details, we want to insert a label. And let's rename this LBL menu text. And we're going to set the text property to this item.name. Font, we're going to use Lato, size 9. We're going to make it bold. The visible property will be var menu open, so it's only visible if the menu is expanded. Minimum height will be 0. Align and container is going to be stretch. Flexible width is off. The width will be parent.width times 80%. And the color is going to change based on if that menu item is selected. If it is, then it's going to be the dark color. Otherwise, it's going to be the light color. And so again, we can test this out by holding the Alt key, expand, close. You can see it's changing the colors and it's working. Now what you have to do is actually add the component into your screens and map out which screen each menu item should navigate to. So let's go into our screens and we're going to insert custom left nav. It should show up now. And you can duplicate the screens, or if you already have screens, you can just insert it in each one of them. I'll call this home, tasks, search, history, contact us, and about us. And so right now, if you hold the Alt key and click through, it's not actually going to change the page. So what you have to do is go into the app in our formulas page. And if you remember here, the menu items, we set all of the screens to be the active screen. So here we just need to update these to the appropriate screens. So home, tasks, search, history, contact us, and about us. And now if you hold the Alt key, you'll be able to see it navigates through all the pages. And you can expand. It's going to remember that whether the menu is expanded or closed in each of the screens. And if you ever want to update anything, all you have to do is go into the formulas property, and if you want to change the name of these, you can change your icons, you can change the company name, the logo, the colors, anything you like, and it's going to apply it to all the navigation menus throughout all the pages. And there you have it, a fully functional left navigation menu with style. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.